Hockey is a game of speed, skill, and precision. But beneath all that finesse lies a darker edge. It's the fear factor, the guys you don't want to line up against, the ones who make opponents think twice before crossing the blue line. For decades, the NHL has had players who weren't just tough, they were terrifying. And in today's league, where skill dominates highlight reels, a few names still carry that aura of intimidation. They're not just fighters, they're enforcers, protectors, and nightmares for anyone foolish enough to take liberties. But who tops the list right now? Who's the single most feared player heading into the 2025-26 NHL season? We'll count down 5 names, each bringing their own brand of menace. Some are veterans with reputations carved out over years. Others are younger, already building a legacy of destruction. We'll start with number 5. And when we finally reach number 1, you might be surprised by how quickly he climbed to the top of the food chain. Every list like this has to include Tom Wilson. For years, he's been one of the NHL's most controversial players. At 6 feet 4 inches and over 215 pounds, he's the prototype of a modern power forward, and the league's poster boy for towing the line between hard and dirty. Wilson built his reputation by delivering crushing hits, many of which landed him in hot water. Fans still remember suspensions for boarding and headshots. Critics call him reckless, dangerous, even predatory. But his teammates? They love him, because Wilson makes opponents hesitate. He makes defensemen rush their clears. He makes star players keep their heads on swivels. But then, just when it looked like he'd never escape the goon label, Wilson started scoring. He put up 20-goal seasons, earned penalty kill time, and even wore the A as an alternate captain. Therefore, he's become more than just a hitter. He's a respected leader who can both crush bones and bury pucks. In today's NHL, that balance of fear and skill is rare. And while suspensions still follow him around, Wilson's presence guarantees that the Capitals always have someone who can change the game. Not with a goal, but with one brutal collision. So if Wilson's at number 5, who could possibly be more intimidating? Ryan Reaves doesn't need to score. He doesn't need to play 15 minutes a night. His job is simpler, but just as valuable: scare the absolute life out of opponents. Reaves is one of the last true enforcers left in the league. He's massive, powerful, and fearless. When he's on the ice, you know exactly what's coming: bone-rattling hits and an open challenge to anyone who wants to test him. But then, people assumed that with age, his role would fade, that the new NHL, built on speed and finesse, had no room for an old-school wrecking ball. Therefore, Reaves had to evolve. He doesn't just fight for the sake of fighting anymore. He picks his spots, makes sure opponents can't bully his teammates, and brings energy to the locker room with his personality. The result? He's still here, still feared, still one of the league's top heavyweights, even in his late 30s. And the fact that players still think twice when he's on the other bench shows that intimidation never goes out of style. But Reaves, for all his experience, isn't the scariest grinder out there today. That honor belongs to someone who's turned being a pest into an art form. Nicolas Deslauriers isn't the flashiest name on this list, but he's one of the purest examples of what makes a player feared. He's not just a fighter, he's relentless. Every shift is a war zone when he's on the ice. Deslauriers has built his career on hustle, grit, and toughness. He racks up hits like other players rack up shots. And while he doesn't put up big offensive numbers, he knows his role: wear opponents down, grind them into mistakes, and punish anyone who goes after his teammates. But then, what separates Deslauriers from other enforcers is his consistency. Some heavyweights fade in and out of relevance. Deslauriers shows up every single game, therefore coaches trust him, teammates respect him, and opponents, well, they flat out hate playing against him. You don't need a reputation filled with suspensions or highlight reel fights to be feared. Sometimes being a constant presence of pain is enough, and Deslauriers embodies that better than almost anyone else in the NHL right now. Still, as tough as he is, there's a new breed of enforcer who's forcing his way into the spotlight, and he's already earned a reputation as one of the league's scariest players. Arber Xhekaj is a name every NHL player knows by now, and if they don't, they learn the hard way. Nicknamed Wi-Fi because of his unpronounceable last name, the Montreal Canadiens defenseman has quickly become one of the league's most notorious players. At 6 feet 4 inches and around 240 pounds, Xhekaj plays with raw aggression. He doesn't just hit you, he crushes you. His fights are brutal, his checks are punishing, and his swagger makes him seem almost unhinged. That unpredictability is what makes him feared, because you never know if the next play ends with a clean hit or a bone-jarring takedown. But then, he faced setbacks. Shoulder injuries forced him out for stretches, raising questions about whether his reckless style was sustainable. He even spent time in the AHL for conditioning, which some critics saw as a setback in his development. Therefore, every time he comes back, he's got something to prove. And every time, he reminds the league why people call him the Sheriff. Beyond the physicality, Jack-Eye has another quality that terrifies opponents: confidence. He doesn't back down, no matter who's standing across from him. Veterans with years of experience have tried to test him, and more often than not, Jack-Eye holds his ground. That combination of youth, fearlessness, and raw strength makes him especially dangerous, because he's not intimidated by anyone. Jack-Eye represents the future of the enforcer role. Not just a fighter, but a defenseman who can skate, play meaningful minutes, and still be the most intimidating presence on the ice. If he can stay healthy, his ceiling isn't just being feared. It's being a cornerstone of Montreal's defense, while also carrying the reputation as one of the league's toughest players. And yet somehow, he's not number one, because there's one player who, in record time, has managed to make the NHL his personal battlefield. Matt Rempe. The name alone already makes players nervous. Why? Because in just one season, he went from a 6th round draft pick to one of the most feared players in hockey. At 6 feet 9 inches and 255 pounds, Rempe towers over everyone. When he steps onto the ice, it's like watching a giant enter the arena, and he knows exactly how to use that size. Throwing punishing hits, dropping the gloves without hesitation, and earning suspensions for going over the line. For opponents, every shift feels like a gamble. Do you risk challenging him and end up on the highlight reel for all the wrong reasons? Or do you skate away and look like you're backing down? But then, people thought he might be a novelty, a sideshow, a giant who couldn't keep up with the pace of the modern NHL. He was, after all, a late round pick who many assumed wouldn't crack a regular lineup. Therefore, when he kept sticking in the roster, scoring goals here and there, and landing devastating hits, it became clear Rempe is no joke. He's the real deal, and he's not just here to fight, he's here to stay. What makes him number one isn't just his physical dominance, it's how fast he's earned his reputation. Players who've been in the league for years already treat him like a veteran heavyweight. Fans chant his name in arenas. Opponents glare at him in warm-ups. And every time he steps over the boards, the energy in the rink shifts. He has that rare aura, the kind of presence where everyone in the building knows something explosive might happen. And now, with a new contract extension locking him in, his role with the Rangers is only growing. The scariest part? He's just getting started. If this is what Rempe can do in his first seasons, imagine what he'll look like with more experience, more confidence, and more time to hone his game. He's not just feared today, he's shaping up to be the NHL's most intimidating player for years to come. So there you have it, the 5 most feared players in the NHL heading into the 2025-26 season. Tom Wilson's controversial edge, Ryan Reeves' veteran intimidation, Nicolas Deslauriers's relentless grind, Arbor Jack-Eye's sheriff-style brutality, and Matt Rempe, the giant who's taken the crown faster than anyone expected. But here's the bigger question, does fear still define hockey? In a league obsessed with speed and skill, these players remind us that intimidation still works. It still protects stars, shifts momentum, and makes hockey unpredictable. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is the single most feared player in the NHL today? Did we get it right with Matt Rempe at number 1, or would you put someone else at the top? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more hockey stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Because in the NHL, fear isn't going away anytime soon.